Have you ever thought about selling a website? If so, you'll want to watch this video. I tell the story of selling a site that was only 8 months old for $10,000. Now, this was a few years ago, so some of the timelines may be different these days, but there's no reason you can't sell a site just like I did. So let's get to the story. Have you ever thought about selling a website? You'll want to listen to this. This video is a story of how I sold a website for 10,000 bucks and it was only 8 months old. Let's get to the story. What's up? My name's Doug Cunnington. I'm the founder of Niche Site Project. I talk about Amazon affiliate marketing, productivity, and project management. If it's your first time here, have a look at some of the videos, and if you like it, please subscribe. So this is the story of how I sold a niche site, an Amazon affiliate site, for about $10,000. It was a little more than $10,000, and I created this site in about 8 months. I created it and sold it in about 8 months. Now, this is kind of a crazy story because a year before I sold it, I didn't even know what a niche site was. So to give you some background, I learned about niche sites in 2013. I found the Smart Passive Income podcast by Pat Flynn. It was super interesting. I totally got obsessed. I listened to like every single episode that was out. I think within, a month, I listened to everything in his back catalog and I was current with his, newly published episodes. When I found Pat Flynn, I had several jumping off points and found other people. So I found people like Spencer Hawes at Niche Pursuits. I found Ramit Sethi over at I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which is a really good site. It sounds a little crazy with a name like that, but it was really, it's a solid site. And several other people that were related to niche sites, some were not related to niche sites. I found that I really gravitated towards affiliate marketing and Amazon affiliate marketing in particular. So within about 5 weeks of finding Smart Passive Income, I launched my first site, which was a total failure. That's another story for another day, and launched another fairly successful Amazon affiliate site. After I launched that one, that site actually made about $10,000 in 6 months or so. And I decided I wanted to launch and create another site with the intention of selling it right off the bat. Now, I'm going to give you, a step-by-step process, the 10 steps that I went through to create the site and then list it. Additionally, I'll place some links for sort of like long-form details about the site. I can't reveal the site since I sold it and the new owner has it and all that, but I'll place links so you can get more information. Let me just tell you some of the details about the site before I get into the 10 steps. And I'm going to refer to the details here. I can't remember all the numbers. Number one, the niche was generally in the outdoor and blue collar industry. The site was launched at the end of August of 2013. The monetization was with Amazon Associates. That's the affiliate program for Amazon. That's my specialty. The total overall earnings at that point in time when I listed the site was $2,178. I listed the site with a broker called Empire Flippers. It's a great team, great company there. I've sold a couple sites with them. I completed the application with Empire Flippers in early April of 2014. I listed the site on the marketplace on like April 14th of 2014 for $10,421 and sold it for that asking price. Completed the transaction on May 7th, 2014, and the total profit after everything was $10,479, and that was after expenses for launching the site and paying Empire Flippers their broker fee and the listing fee. So total profit overall was $10,479, and I'd have to estimate the number of hours. I didn't really time track it, but I probably roughly spent a few hours a week for the several months that I was working on it. Not too much. I have the background in project management, so I had systems in place and already, figured out. I had all my templates and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of hiring people to write the content for the site, and then publishing the content, and then getting traffic. I'm going to go over the 10 steps in just a second. Before I get to the 10 steps, I'll mention why would a person sell a site. So you may be thinking to yourself, if you have a site that's making $500 a month or $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month, why in the world would you sell it? Don't you want that cash flow? Here is the advantage to selling the site. You essentially get 2 to 3 years of earnings all at once. So you don't have to wait for the monthly cash flow to come in. You can sell the site, and typically, the selling price is like the profits times about 25 to 35, and that gives you the rough value of a site. So if your site's making $1,000 per month, the value of it is probably $25,000 to $35,000. So you can see the value there, right? So instead of getting $1,000 this month, you can get, on average, ballpark, about $30,000 all up front. And of course, depending on your priorities and what you want to do, you may be able to sell a site and invest it in something bigger that you're more interested in, pay off debt, and that sort of thing. So you have to look at your values and what you need. I typically don't sell sites too often. I do appreciate the cash flow in most cases, but every now and then I want to sell a site. Now in this case, for this specific project back in 2013, 2014, I literally wanted to experience selling a site. I wanted to go through the process, and I created the site with the intention of selling it from the very beginning. So let's get to the 10 steps that we go through when we launch a site like this. So number one, you want to identify the products and the keywords and the general niche that you're going to approach. So for me, I already knew, what niche I wanted to go through. There's various brainstorming methods, but in this case, I actually remember walking through a store called Bass Pro Shops. It's like an outdoor shop. Very large store. They have a variety of outdoor camping, hunting, fishing, that kind of stuff. And I looked all through the store and I just browsed through. Where I live now in Bozeman, Montana, we actually don't have Bass Pro Shops, but there are a bunch of them in the southeast of the US, and there was one pretty close to my house, so I would, frequent that place. I remember looking through the store, taking some notes. I may have used an app on my phone, and then when I got home, I did keyword research. That's a viable method, by the way. You can walk through a retail store, see what you see, take notes, and then go look up the keywords later. It's a great way to sort of get away from the computer and all the screens and go out in the real world and see products. And you could touch them and feel them and see, are people looking at them or not. Number two, develop a content plan. So I knew I wanted to sell this site for 5 figures. At the time, I needed to have the average monthly revenue and profits, actually the profits, $500 or more. So the valuation of the site at that time was about 20x, so 20 times the monthly profits. So I knew I needed to have those profits about $500 or higher. That said, I also knew that there were a few fairly profitable keywords that I found in this niche, and I knew that if I launched the site with about 20 to 30 pieces of content, it should be fine. So from there, I used the keywords that I found that were viable, that I thought I could rank in Google for. I developed content in my whole content plan around those keywords. So there were several, best of type reviews. A few products were mentioned. There were individual product reviews, and there were a few verses. So it was sort of a combination of, different types of review content, and there was very little, I would say 10% or less. So about 1 or 2 posts were informational. Basically everything was an affiliate review. Now I don't recommend that now, but that's how the site was at the time. Further on the content plan, I knew I didn't want to write any of the content, so I hired a few writers from Upwork, and back in those days, right, a couple years ago, I paid about $10 for about 1,000 words. I had a few posts that were about 1,000 words long and a few posts that were closer to 2,500 or 3,000 words. So some were shorter form, some were longer form, and they were, written by US-based writers, or at least, native English speakers. I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if they were located in the US, but they were native English speakers from either the US or Canada. Part 3 is the promotion plan. Now, this is really about link building. Now, I was a gray hat SEO in those days. If you're new to that term, gray hat is SEO that violates the Google Webmaster guidelines. White hat follows those guidelines. So nowadays I follow the guidelines. I use guest posting primarily as my link building mechanism and promotion mechanism. Back in those days, I did something different. Those were Web 2.0 blogs, which are like WordPress or Blogger or Blogspot, stuff like that. You set up a blog, you publish some content. It doesn't have to be good, and you put links in there. And then the other portion of link building was private blog networks, or PBNs. Those are older, usually expired domains where there are links pointing to the domain, but for whatever reason, the webmaster didn't want to keep those sites up anymore. So people like gray hat SEOs can buy those domains, set up basically fake websites just to get backlinks to their money sites, their affiliate sites. That is how the link building was done on the site. The risk is higher. I don't recommend you do that these days and in 2018, but back then it worked fine. In fact, it worked really well, and I was able to get first page, like #1 rankings for a search term that got 1,300 searches per month, and it ranked #1 within about 3 months. It was pretty amazing, especially when you consider doing that in 2018. It would take a lot longer. It would probably take, 6 months at least, maybe even up to 12 if you got everything going perfectly. So part 4 is to actually publish the content. So once I developed the content plan and the promotion plan, next step was to actually publish the content. As I mentioned, I hired a few writers on Upwork. I didn't need that much content, so I let them write at their own speed and got all the content back probably within a month or so, and then published it. So I typically keep things very simple on my sites. I was using a basic theme. It was probably WordPress 2013 or another WordPress, just stock default theme. Again, very simple. It was really black text on a white background. That's it. I had some images, regular images from Amazon, and that was pretty much it. So at that point, I published the content. I formatted it on my own. I didn't have a content manager or editor, so I took care of that myself. It takes me about 1 hour to 2 hours to format, edit, and draft a review in WordPress. So it took a decent amount of time, but again, spread out over a month or so, it's only about 1 hour a day. So not too much, and I probably batched it and put my head down and finished quite a bit of it in one afternoon on the weekend or something like that. Once the content was published, it was time for step 5, and that was to actually get these backlinks. So I went to a company called The Hoth and bought backlinks for the Web 2.0 links. They provide a very good service. Their customer service is outstanding. They have several gray hat sort of link building things that they offer, products that they offer. However, they also have white hat services as well for guest posting and content services, stuff like that. So they have a whole suite of products. If you're interested, I will put my affiliate link where I get a commission if you buy anything. I'll put that in the description in case you're interested. Since I outsourced the link building for the Web 2.0s, I went ahead and took care of some of the private blog network links because at the time I had a lot of domains I can get links from. So I placed a lot of links for my own network, and then I bought a few from the Hoth as well. So I had quite a few links going to the site overall when you consider the Hoth Platinum packages that I purchased along with the private blog networks or PBN links. At that point, all I needed to do was wait for the links to do their job and for the rankings to move up. Because I found keywords that I knew I could rank for, it only took a few weeks for these keywords to show up in the top 50 or so in Google. And after a couple months, they were ranking #1 for a couple terms and some long tail terms as well. Additionally, the conversion rate was pretty decent. I have a very nice template where I call it the perfect Amazon review, but essentially you present the information in a modular format. It's easy to have reviews written. You could just give the template to the writer. The writer can come up with a nice intro and write mini reviews about each one of the products, as well as a short buying guide. They convert really well, and it's kind of a standard way that I personally publish Amazon affiliate content to this day. Now we're on to step 7, and once the site was earning and it was consistent and it showed growth, I knew it was time to go ahead and list it with Empire Flippers. Again, they're a broker. You have to pay a listing fee, which if you're a new customer, there's a higher listing fee. I won't mention any specific prices. It's a few $100, but I want to make sure I don't have out-of-date information. And then if you're a repeat customer or repeat seller, then usually it's around $100 or so, at least at the time of this video. I was a first-time seller there, so I had to pay the higher fee, again, a couple $100, and then after that piece of the fee is paid, they start working with you to vet the site. They take a look at it and make sure it's of high quality. The other portion of the fee is 15% of the selling price. So it's based on whatever you sell it for. So step 8 is going through the vetting of the site. So this takes a few days, or at least it took a few days at that time. You provide all the information you can to Empire Flippers in the application, and they take a look at it. They go to different backlink crawler websites like Ahrefs and Majestic, and they take a look at the backlink profile. You can disclose the private blog networks or the Web 2.0 links. And by the way, you should disclose everything. So if you have gray hat backlinks, you should tell them, because if you don't and then they find them, well, that's not good. They're probably not going to work with you for that site or any future site because you weren't upfront with them. So if you know anything or you could provide additional information, definitely do that. It makes the vetting process easier for them, and then it just looks more honest just all around. So you should operate in an ethical way. I shouldn't have to say it, but you should provide them with all the information. You shouldn't try and hide anything. If they start looking, they'll find it. And believe me, the buyer is very interested in full disclosure. So if you just tell them all the information, they're very happy to have that info. So step 9 is after the site's listed, it is released into the marketplace for Empire Flippers. They have a very large email list and repeat buyers. So as soon as it's listed, especially at this specific price point, a lower price point, people purchase these very quickly. Once it's listed, I quickly got an offer and chatted with the person who was interested in it, and we agreed on the price, which was the exact listing price. Now, back in those days, the multiples were a little bit lower. I only was able to list it for 20x, right? So 20 times the monthly profits, which were good. I mean, that was good for the age of the site. Nowadays, I think, Empire Flippers, number one, I think they have a higher price point, like a higher minimum. So I think it's 20,000, and that means your site should be making at least $1,000 a month. Additionally, the value of these websites has gone up over the years. So it used to be a 20x monthly multiple. Nowadays, it's 25x sort of to start with, and then it goes up from there. Now, there's many other factors involved. There are many variables that Empire Flippers uses and other companies use to value websites. One of them may be the type of backlink. So gray hat backlinks maybe would be a little riskier and the value of the site would be just a tiny bit lower. Other factors may be how long the site has been making that amount of money. So in this case, the site was only making money for a few months, not many months. It was growing, but it wasn't an established website. Nowadays, I know if you have a site that's been making consistent money for month after month and year after year, it can be way more valuable because it shows longevity, potentially is a more secure site. Step 10, the last part, is transitioning the site. So of course, I accepted the offer for the listing price, and the transition of the site is pretty seamless, especially from the seller point of view. So I already provided information to Empire Flippers. One of the big services that they offer and they earn their money is transitioning the site. Personally, while I have a slightly technical background, I worked in IT for years and have a software background, I don't really like doing the tech stuff now, especially transitioning a site where you have to update DNS servers, change links, move databases and stuff. I prefer not to do that. If it's something you have a skill in, great, you can transition the site, but I don't want to transition the site. Good thing too, because Empire Flippers has a team that'll transition the site for you, update the links for the buyer, and take care of everything. After the site is transitioned, there's a few days where the new owner, the buyer, they monitor the traffic, they check their earnings on Amazon to make sure, number one, the earnings are where they should be, purchases are made, and essentially they're just vetting the site to make sure everything was done properly. For example, if earnings dropped off or something like that, then maybe the links aren't proper. If the traffic isn't going to the site, it could indicate some sort of penalty or an issue, or something with the DNS. So the buyer has a few days to make sure everything is working as expected. So those are the steps in creating and selling a site. By the way, if you want more information, you can go to nichesiteproject.com and click on the green button. You'll be able to get the task list in more detail for creating a niche site from scratch. Additionally, there are like 15,000 keywords I just give you for various profitable Amazon affiliate sites. So do check it out if you're interested in more. Again, I'm Doug Cunnington from Niche Site Project, and if you like this video, please subscribe. Thanks.